everybody. Um, just giving this a try. Let me see if I can check if I'm actually live. Let me go to my stream manager. Let's see if I can watch the stream. It's all very brand new to me. Um, so thank you for your patience. I'm just gonna assume everything's okay. How's that? So today we're looking at what is fair use with respect to books. Because one of the things I want to do with uh, with this is read some books, talk about some books. Seems like a good time. But I need to know whether I'm gonna get copyright strikes for reading books. So I guess the first thing we'll look for is what is fair use. Let's see what comes up. Ooh, okay. Okay, we have a dictionary definition. Usually good to begin to understand what it is we're looking at. See translations in 100 plus languages. Okay. And U.S. copyright law, the doctrine that brief excerpts of copyright material may, under certain circumstances, be quoted verbatim for purposes such as criticism, news reporting, teaching, and research without the need for permission from or payment to the copyright holder. Okay. Easy enough. fairuse.stanford.edu. That seems like it would be a reputable place to read. But copyright.gov, probably better, because that seems like it would be the source, so to speak, rather than an interpretation. And one of the things that I really emphasize going through these kind of fact-finding sessions is how do we find the source of the information we're looking for rather than people's interpretations. So I'm going to check out this link from the U.S. Copyright Office and see what it can tell us. Okay. Fair use is a legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyright-protected works in certain circumstances. Section 107 of the Copyright Act provides the statutory framework. Oh god, this is all lawyer speak, and I'm personally not trained to really understand that. So let's see if this box is a nice little summary for us. Purpose and character of the use, including whether the use is of a commercial nature or is for non-profit educational purposes. Okay. Courts look at how the party claiming fair use is using the copyrighted work and are more likely to find that non-profit educational and non-commercial uses are fair. This does not mean, however, that all non-profit education and non-commercial uses are fair and all commercial uses are not fair. Well, okay, so it gave us guidance on what is considered fair and not considered fair, and then immediately told us that, well, that might not actually be true. Very unhelpful, copyright.gov. Okay, let's keep going. Another factor that is considered is the nature of the copyrighted work. This factor analyzes the degree to which the work that was used relates to copyright's purpose of encouraging creative expression. Thus, using a more creative or imaginative work, such as a novel, movie, or song, is less likely to support a claim of fair use than using a factual work. Okay, so what it's saying is that if I were to use a technical article or technical manual, I would have more of a leg to stand on with respect to claiming a fair use for my content. But a novel, movie, or song is less likely to be judged as fair use, especially since this will maybe eventually be monetized. Let's see. Let's continue forward. So we have so far a Basically non-starter with the first category. Kind of negative in the second category, since I do want to read novels to you guys. Um, Next factor, amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. Under this factor, courts look at both the quantity and quality of the copyrighted material that was used. If the use includes a large portion of the copyrighted work, fair use is less likely to be found. Okay, so that actually is a big problem for me, because part of the kind of book club thing that I'd like to start does involve just reading basically the whole book and then talking about it. I would make an argument that I'm doing so to promote discussion and educate, um, but it seems that in spite of that goal, using so much of the work would be would stand against me. So let's see. Next up, effect of the use on the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Here, courts review whether and to what extent the unlicensed use harms the existing or future market for the copyright owner's original work. Okay, so this is the part of fair use that I am most familiar with, because as you all probably know, libraries operate under kind of fair use, in that we have all these books, DVDs, whatever materials that we just loan to people for free, and we're allowed to do that because it's argued that the things in the library being loaned out are not detrimental to the profits of the writers, filmmakers, etc., and that it does in fact promote those materials to a wider audience. There are some other protections, especially for libraries and memory institutions, as far as copyrighted materials go. But so that gives me a little glimmer of hope. So it seems like there are pros and cons in this fair use statute for myself. Um, I'd like to specifically look at what is in the law or common practice specifically for books and book clubs. Because this is all very general and honestly not very helpful, even though it did give me kind of a feel for how these things would be judged, in a general way. So I'm going to keep this up in case I need to reference it later. And we're going to go back to our Google search. So I feel like that actually gave me a pretty good overview about what is and is not fair use, or at least the mishmash of things that could be considered. Let me see. What is fair use? Let me just put books in there and see what comes up, because I'm very concerned with books. Scribewriting.com. What is that? Okay, that's a blog. I'm not going to say don't trust blogs, because there are some people who make blogs who are very well informed, and I couldn't make a judgment on that unless I looked at the blog and see what kind of sources they were citing and everything. But as a first point of contact, I would maybe not actually choose this suggested result, because I don't want to waste my time, frankly. So let's keep going. Nolo.com. What is Nolo.com? I don't know. I'm going to keep looking and see if there's something that seems a little more reputable. fairuse.stanford.edu. I understand that Stanford is a university, and they probably have a bunch of law professors and everything who are working on getting this information out. So I think this would be a good place to look just based on that. Now, what is the actual link? Copyright Basics FAQ. Stanford Copyright and Fair Use Center. Oh, they have a whole center. Okay, what is the little description? Strictly no information book can be created independently of other books or media input. Okay, I don't know what that means. That's not what I'm looking for. Fair Use, American Library Association. Aha. I know for a fact, and maybe I am a little bit biased as a librarian, but ALA puts in a lot of legwork into making sure that we librarians can understand the law, and what we are not allowed to do as far as programming and acquiring stuff. So, okay, and I see, for example, a how-to book on woodworking contains plans that are to be copied and used by the reader. So this is going into specific kinds of books and specific uses, and I'm encouraged by the fact that they're giving me examples, which is something that I don't immediately see in the Stanford source. Let's look a little bit more. onlinebooks.library.upenn.edu. Again, another university source, so I'm reasonably assured that they're law professors or people who wrote this for us to use. So I think this could be pretty trustworthy. The online books page. Okay, well, I'm not going to be reading online books. Maybe. We'll see. What can I reproduce from a copyrighted work without permission? That's pretty good. Let's keep looking. Baylor.edu, again from another university source. Therefore, much of what defines fair use is determined in outcomes of blah, 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 blah. And I see again this effect of use upon the potential market for the copyrighted work. Fair use and other educational uses. Okay, that seems actually specifically more what I'm looking for. And it is a UChicago source, so another university source. And then there's copyright.gov again. So I'm going to first go back to this copyright.gov source, and then I'll follow up on this UChicago source because I figure maybe I'll get some more general information from the copyright.gov source, and then maybe something that's more specifically what I'm looking for from this UChicago source. So let's go here first. Okay, I had to make sure that I'm still streaming. Everything looks like it's going well. Okay. Wait, is this the same page from earlier? Yeah, this is the exact same page as earlier. Okay, so I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to go back to the UChicago source and see what it has to say. Okay, I like these headings. Fair use, the basics of fair use. I'm assuming that that's going to be what we learned about from the copyright.org website that has those building blocks of what fair use is. So I would maybe be okay with skimming that or skipping it entirely. Rules of thumb help for determining if your use is fair use. That sounds pretty useful. Educational guidelines, additional guidelines for thinking about fair use. Okay, so I feel like what I'm looking for is either going to be in rules of thumb or educational guidelines, but I'll just skim this first section to see if maybe there's something that clarifies what we found on copyright.org. Copyright law provides for the principle, commonly called fair use, that the reproduction of copyright works for certain limited educational purposes does not constitute copyright infringement. The Copyright Act establishes a 4-factor test. Okay, so that's what we saw in the copyright.org source. We had those boxes with those 4 different things. Okay, and it summarized those boxes here for us in this nice handy-dandy numbered list. So we have purpose, nature, amount, and effect. And, this goes into more detail even here. Okay, so purpose. Materials should be used in class only for the purpose of serving the needs of specified educational programs. Students should not be charged a fee specifically or directly for the materials. So this is assuming that I am maybe a professor in a university or something. And it may not be appropriate to extrapolate from there that my streams are my classroom and all the viewers are my students, so these principles will apply to me. So this may not be as good of a source as I had expected. Only those portions of the work relevant to the educational objectives of the course should be used in the classroom. Okay, so maybe this could apply if I actually put some effort into creating some objectives for us. kind of like you would see in a classroom, but I don't want these streams to be boring. Like, you guys aren't attending a class. We'd be reading a book together and talking about it. But it shouldn't be too hard to come up with some questions for discussion or something like that. And those could be our quote unquote objectives. Um, the law of fair use applies more narrowly to highly creative works. Accordingly, avoid substantial excerpts from novels, short stories, poetry, modern art images, and other such materials. Okay, so that totally strikes through the thought of just reading entire books on stream, I suppose. Instructors should not distribute copies of consumable materials, such as test forms, workbook. Okay, that's not relevant. The amount of the work, again, emphasizing you should be using brief passages and not the whole thing. The effect on the market. Should consider whether copying harms the market or sale of the copyrighted material. Materials should include a citation to the original source, 100%. I fully plan on putting at least probably an APA citation on whatever stream, whatever material I use on stream, because I'm very much about good citations, and probably also links out to where you can get the material for yourself, because I think that would help mitigate the fact that I'm just reading something on stream. If I'm pointing you all to somewhere where you can get it for yourself, maybe that would make it okay. I don't know yet. We're still learning. An instructor should consider whether materials are reasonably available and affordable for students to purchase. Okay, let's keep going. The University of Chicago has not adopted official guidelines for determining fair use. However, the following websites offer rules of thumb and other tools to assist faculty, staff, and students in determining whether a use is fair use in a variety of educational contexts. Okay. So those are websites that maybe I could look at, but I have some concerns that those would be kind of like the sources for universities or actual classroom settings. And I'm just streaming on Twitch and YouTube, so I don't know how relevant these are going to be, but maybe if I get stuck, I can leave this up, and we can check out some of those sites in a little bit. Educational guidelines. The Conference on Fair Use, CONFU, in the late 90s was an attempt to create guidelines to fair use which could be mutually agreed upon by copyright holders and educators. In the end, the group failed to come to consensus. Okay, what else is new, honestly? Digital images. Okay, so this isn't good. So I'm wondering if we're going to run into this issue where they're assuming that I'm in a traditional classroom setting and not on Twitch. Maybe I should then modify my search term. What is fair use? Books on Twitch. Because I think there's a category called read aloud, so people are doing this, and it does seem to be protected. TechCrunch.com. That's adorable. Legal streaming. Build your audience without getting GG'd. That's funny enough that I might click on that, but it doesn't quite meet my criteria for a reputable source, even though it is adorable. There's a Reddit about it. Trademark guidelines, twitch.tv. Okay, well, I'm not worried about trademark. I want books. Terms of service. That might be good to review, actually. Community guidelines. The proper application of principles such as fair use. Okay. TheVerge.com says Twitch streamers are getting blindsided by years-old copyright something. Oh, that's encouraging. These are news stories about infringement. You know what? I'm going to do something, and I know people who watch this are probably going to yell at me for it, but I will justify doing this thing. I'm actually going to go to the Fair Use Wikipedia page because I feel like so far I've dived into a bunch of legal jargon that I don't personally understand. I've been talked to about an educational context like a classroom, and that's not what I'm looking for. And I'm getting a bunch of news stories. So I'm going to go to Wikipedia and I'm going to see if there are sections that talk specifically about streaming sites like YouTube and Twitch. And then I'm not using Wikipedia as a source. I'm going to see who the editors cited as sources for creating the content on Wikipedia and then follow up with those to see if I can get to a true source. Personally, I think Wikipedia is a wonderful resource for people who are just diving into a topic because you can read what's generally a decent overview of a topic on the Wikipedia page. And then there are those sources that you can look up for yourself to verify if the narrative you've consumed is correct. So I'm going to go to Wikipedia and we'll see where we can go from there. This article is about fair use as understood in the United States. Good, that's where I am. It would be interesting to look at copyright law in other countries, though. Oh boy. Okay, let's go to this outline. Fair use factors. We have those 4 things that we found on copyright.org: purpose, nature, amount, and effect. Fair use in particular areas: computer code, documentary films, file sharing, internet publication, that could be relevant, professional communities, music sampling, parody, text and data mining, reverse engineering, and social media. Probably social media and internet publication are going to be sections that are relevant to me. Influence internationally, don't really care. Fair dealing, don't really care right now. Policy arguments about Fair Use Week, and then the references. Okay, so I'm going to open up internet publication, and I'm going to open up social media. Wow, all there is a paragraph on social media? That seems... okay. In May 2015, artist Richard Prince released an exhibit of photographs at a gallery in New York entitled New Portraits. What? Why is this relevant? Although no Instagram users authorized Prince to use their pictures, Prince argued that the addition of his own commentary the pictures constituted fair use, such that he did not need permission to use the photos or to pay royalties for his use. One of the pieces sold for $90,000. Wow. With regard to the works presented by Painter, the gallery where the pictures were showcased posted notices that all images are subject to copyright. Several lawsuits were filed. Okay, well, that was Bubkiss. Let's see if that other internet publication. Okay. Oh, this is way more meaty. U.S. court case from 2003, Kelly versus Ariba Soft Corporation provides and develops the relationship between thumbnails, inline linking, and fair use. That's not really what I'm looking at. Oh boy, this is all about that court case, and I don't care about it. In August 2008, Judge Jeremy Fogel of the Northern District of Columbia ruled in Luntz versus Universal Music Corp. that copyright holders cannot order deletion of an online file without determining whether that posting reflected fair use of the copyrighted material. Okay. Case involved person who made a home video of her 13-month-old son dancing to Prince's song Let's Go Crazy and posted the video on YouTube. 4 months later, Universal Music ordered YouTube to remove the video. Big surprise, honestly. This isn't the place for a discussion of Universal Music and YouTube, but... Okay. Oh god, these people are suing each other. Okay, that's pretty useless to books also. In June 2011, Judge Philip Pro of the District of Nevada ruled in Right Haven versus Hohn, or Hohn if it's a German pronunciation, that the posting of an entire editorial article from the Las Vegas Review-Journal and a comment as part of an online discussion was unarguably fair use. Okay. It is undisputed that Hohn posted the entire work in his comment on the website. Wholesale copying does not preclude a finding of fair use. There is no genuine issue of material fact that Hohn's use of the work was fair and summary judgment is appropriate. Okay, well that's pretty encouraging though. There's a case that somebody used a whole piece and had a leg to stand on. Let's go to sources. Right Haven versus Hohn. Ooh, this looks like the whole case. Which I probably won't read on stream because both you and I will probably get bored of it. Let me do a stream check, make sure it's still going. Oh good, it does seem to still be going. Okay. So, like I said, I'm probably not going to read this whole thing. But let's read a little bit of it just to make sure that what I saw in Wikipedia is fair and correct. So, copyright infringement action brought by Plaintiff Right Haven LLC against defendant Wayne Hohn, who is and was at all relevant times a registered user and content contributor to the website madjacksports.com. What is that? Hang on, I have to know. madjacksports.com. It doesn't exist. Oh, no, I just spelled it wrong. madjacksports.com. The #1 handicapping forum on the web. What does that even mean? I know next to nothing about sports, so this is probably way outside of my league of understanding. Beta game, real bookies, my bookie. Is this gambling? Please note, the information contained in this website is for news and entertainment purposes only. Any use of this information is in violation of any federal, state, or local laws is prohibited. Interesting. Anyway, I guess that's fucking sports ball madness. Okay, I got really distracted. Okay, this is explaining that Hohn posted the thing, says that he didn't post it for profit, and there was no mechanism for him to profit, so it should be fine. He deleted his comment. He wasn't the owner of the work. Okay, yeah, this all seems to corroborate the story on the Wikipedia page. But unfortunately, the Wikipedia page did not give me information that would help me in determining whether reading a book to you all on stream is fair use or not. So, we'll have to think about that some more. So I think... What is this? Twitch emotes? Oh, okay, it's recommending me Twitch music for some reason. Maybe I can look for... Oh my gosh. Twitch Copyright guidelines. Okay, so there is a whole section in community guidelines about this. I glanced over it when I was making my account, but I will admit I didn't read them as thoroughly as I probably should have. So this is a good chance to do that. Okay. 1. Don't break the law. Don't do self-destructive stuff. Don't do violence. Don't do hateful conduct and harassment. Which brings up a good point. If I see any hateful conduct or harassment in my chats ever when there are eventually, hopefully, viewers of these wonderful streams that I'm putting on, I will play fast and loose with the ban button because we're all here to learn stuff together. We're all here to read books together and talk about them. This is not the place to act hatefully towards anyone else in these streams or over on YouTube. So disclaimer there. Unauthorized sharing of private information, impersonation, spam, scams, and other malicious conduct, nudity, pornography, and other sexual content, extreme violence, gore, and other obscene conduct, intellectual property rights. That seems like what I'm looking for, because books, novels, poems are all intellectual properties because they were made from people's brains. You should only share content on your Twitch channel that you own or that you otherwise have rights to or are authorized to share on Twitch. If you share content on your Twitch channel that you do not own or otherwise do not have rights to share on Twitch, you may be infringing on another person's intellectual property rights. This includes any third-party content included in your content, derivative creations, or performances of others' copyrighted content. We encourage you to assess your content for adherence to applicable intellectual property laws. Are you going to link me to what those are? That would be helpful. Anyway, and the proper application of principles such as fair use and to secure all appropriate rights needed before sharing your content on Twitch. Any unauthorized content you share on Twitch may be subject to a takedown, okay, and is a violation of TOS. Multiple violations may lead to permanent suspension. Examples of what you should not share on Twitch without permission include other Twitch creators' content, pirated games, or content from unauthorized private servers. But as we all know, non-pirated games are absolutely good. Content from other sites, movies, television shows, or sports matches, music you do not own or have the rights to share. So none of this mentions books, but I am thinking people are allowed to stream video games on Twitch because they're providing the commentary over it, because they might be encouraging people to buy the books or the games. I have books on the brain. So maybe the same principle does apply to reading aloud on Twitch. This might take some experimenting on my end if I can't get a concrete yes or no answer about this, but interesting though. Additional gaming content guidelines. Don't cheat. Wait to broadcast these games until everyone else gets to. Okay. So maybe the same thing that protects games on Twitch and YouTube will protect me reading books. DMCA guidelines. That's good. Okay. Oh boy. If you are a copyright owner, okay, this is what to do if somebody owns the copyright and they'd like to make a complaint. Okay, yeah, this is about how to contact Twitch, so that's not. Okay, so this is all news and things. So I'm going to modify my search and see if they have anything specifically about books. TOS again. Trademark guidelines. Nope. I'm going to click on this just to see what pops up. I usually don't click on these unless I'm looking for information that doesn't really mean much of anything. Like the other day, I was looking for what do slugs eat. That doesn't require a full academic review of a source or anything, just to find out that slugs mostly eat dead things. So, but maybe this will point me towards a source that I can branch off from, kind of like Wikipedia does. Answer Justia.com. I don't know what that is, but they say yes. Your stream is a new work that you create. You're not copying the book, but creating a new performance. That seems a little sketchy, but it is nice to have some kind of validation from Justia.com. There's a Reddit post about it, stuff about the music industry. Well, this is unfortunate. Okay. So, I think instead I'm going to switch gears and maybe as I'm starting out, I will look for books and things to read that are in the public domain. My voice is getting a little tired, so I might call this fact-finding mission a bit confusing. And we'll move on to what the public domain is probably next time, so I can refresh myself on that and see what kinds of things will be absolutely safe for me to read and explore on these streams while I mull over what I learned on this stream. So I'm just gonna sum up, and I'll go back to this U Chicago source because it mirrors what we found on copyright.org. It's just way more understandable. So it seems like the things that determine whether or not fair use applies to what you're doing is the purpose of what you're doing, the nature of what you're doing it with, the amount of the thing that you use, and the effect on the market. So in library world, whenever we talk about our own fair use exemptions and other copyright issues that we kind of run into, most of what we zero in on is the effect on the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. So essentially, I think that by reading these books to you all and then promoting a discussion of them, maybe it'll pique interest and I could make an argument that by linking to the official seller of whatever book that I'm going to be reading, I'm not going to be negatively impacting their market. So maybe that would work, even if I am using most of or all of a book. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. But I don't know. It'll also depend on what people are interested in, because if people end up being more interested in doing little fact-finding missions or whatever, this one's a little more laid back because, you know, it's the first one. It's for me, and I don't want this to end up being very long for the first one, but I do want to go into topics like what is the Electoral College or things like that. Questions that I hear all the time from people that would require maybe a bit more time to dig into, a bit more context building. But I thought this would be a fun little thing to just start off with and get a feel for the landscape, so to speak. But yeah, I'll work on creating a regular schedule for myself, and I can promise the content will improve as I do this. I am brand new to this whole streaming thing, so please bear with my growing pains. But yeah, essentially, this is what I think fair use, the meat of what fair use is. And I think that it's a very squishy concept. I think there are a lot of arguments to be made for and against it for any given work. But I do think that as far as this content that I'm going to be creating, um, most of what I make will be falling under fair use because I will be commenting over it. I'll be talking with you all about the stuff, doing it in short sections at a time because not everybody wants to listen to a whole ebook in one session, you know. I probably won't actually show the pages while I'm streaming because then it would be easy for people to reproduce those images. If you're watching the stream, you can screen cap pages and make your own kind of guerrilla sort of a version of the book. And I definitely don't want to promote that. I think if we all like the books that we're going to be reading, then we should definitely try to go pick up a copy from some kind of licensed vendor and support the authors that we like. But yeah, I look forward to doing more of these things and having some great discussions with whoever ends up showing up. Um, so this stream will be uploaded on YouTube as well. It should, if you go to my about page, it'll be linked there and everything. You can also search for the title of this stream on YouTube and it should show up because I'm going to be titling them the same. And hope to see somebody check in later. Am I supposed to be telling people to subscribe? That seems a little obnoxious. I figure if you all enjoy it, then you'll come back and just keep watching, and hopefully we'll all learn some stuff together and have a good time. That's all I want. Subscription is optional. Check me out on YouTube. Ask me questions. Give me content ideas. Anything. Anyway, if you showed up, it was very nice to see you, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.